All right, so get ready for a really cool deep dive today. We're going to be talking about exponential growth.
Yeah.
We all hear those stories about like businesses that seem to just explode out of nowhere or ideas that catch fire and spread like wildfire.
Right.
That's what we're breaking down today, the how and the why behind those success stories.
Absolutely.
And trust me, after this deep dive, you'll start seeing these patterns everywhere.
Yeah, it's not magic, although it can definitely feel like it.
Right.
It really all boils down to understanding a different type of growth,
Okay.
one that most people aren't used to thinking about,
Okay.
one that kind of like builds on itself and gains momentum with every single step.
Okay, so our guide today is Kamyar Shah, and he's got this incredible way of making even like the most complex ideas seem super simple. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is exponential growth?
Okay.
Because it's not just about like getting bigger, right? It's about getting bigger faster.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like imagine a wildfire, spreading through a forest.
Okay.
Or even better, think about those videos that go viral overnight, that super rapid spread.
Yeah.
That's the essence of exponential growth.
Yeah.
And the really cool part,
Yeah.
it's not as mysterious as it might seem. There's actually a formula for it.
No way.
Yeah, and once you understand it, you start seeing the world in a whole new light.
Okay, so walk us through it. Give us the aha moment.
All right, so picture this. You've got 10 users.
10 users.
Each of them invites just 2 more people.
Okay.
Now, those new users each invite 2 more,
Okay.
and so on and so on.
Yeah.
What started as just a tiny little group quickly snowballs into over 100 users
Wow.
in just a few cycles.
Yeah.
That's that power of that exponential curve. It starts slow,
Okay.
and then bam, it takes off like a rocket.
And this is where things get really, really exciting because Kamyar Shah gives us this fantastic concept. It's called the viral coefficient.
Right.
It's like the secret code to unlocking this explosive growth. You know what I mean?
It really is. And the source material actually tells us how to calculate it, which is amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this coefficient, it's represented by the letter R.
Okay.
It basically tells you, on average, how many new users each existing user brings in.
Got it.
So like find your R, and you've essentially unlocked this roadmap for like crazy growth potential.
It's like finding the holy grail of marketing, right?
Yeah. But wait, there's more.
There's always more.
Kamyar Shah doesn't stop there. He takes us even deeper into this thing called, like, network graph theory.
Yeah.
Which sounds super complex.
Right.
But I have a feeling you're going to make it make sense.
Yeah. It's not that complicated, really, once you, like, break it down.
Okay.
So imagine, like, this giant web, right?
Yeah.
And it connects everyone you know online, like your friends, your family.
Right.
That person you went to high school with who posts way too many cat pictures.
Okay. Yeah.
That's basically what a network graph is.
Gotcha.
It's just a visual representation of how everybody's connected.
Okay. That makes sense. But what can we actually do with that information? That's what I want to know.
So within these networks, right, you've got certain people that have way more influence than others.
Right.
Kamyar Shah calls this, node centrality.
It was centrality. Okay.
Yeah, so think about, like, those people on social media with, like, millions of followers.
Oh, yeah, the influencers.
Exactly. They're like the heavy hitters.
Right.
The ones everyone's listening to.
So if you can get your message in front of those people, it's like you're pressing the turbo button.
Exactly. And then there's this other really cool concept. It's called the clustering coefficient.
Okay.
So remember how we were talking about that network graph, like that web of connections?
Yeah.
Clustering is all about how tightly packed those connections actually are.
Okay.
You know how, like, you'll often find that your friends will become friends with each other?
Yeah.
That's clustering in action,
Okay.
and it makes a huge difference.
And I'm guessing that means that things spread more quickly because those connections are already so close.
Exactly. It's like
Wait.
it's like the difference between trying to, like, spread a rumor in a crowded room
Yeah.
versus trying to spread it across, like, individual households.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Clustering amplifies your message, but within those tight-knit groups.
Got it. It's like a force multiplier.
Right.
So we've got the power of exponential growth.
Right.
We've got these networks finding these high influence nodes.
Yeah.
But how do we actually make something go viral? Because that's like the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone wants to know.
Right.
Kamyar Shah actually breaks down some really interesting tactics. One of the most powerful ones is this idea of exclusivity.
Okay.
Remember those like invite-only apps
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
platforms that everybody was like dying to get
Oh,
into?
yeah, I remember those, totally. There's something about scarcity that just makes people want something more.
Exactly. So by like limiting access,
Yeah.
you instantly create this like sense of desire and intrigue.
Right.
It taps into our fear of missing out.
It's like that velvet rope outside the club. Suddenly everyone wants to be on the list. What other tricks does Kamyar Shah have up his sleeve?
He also talks about gamification,
Gamification. But yeah.
basically turning like sharing or engagement into a game.
Okay.
Like think about airline loyalty programs.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
They've basically turned frequent flying into like this whole game.
Oh, they totally have with the points and the tiers and like, you know, I know people who book flights based on like where they can earn the most miles, not even where they want to go. It's wild how our brains are just wired to respond to that.
It's all about tapping into those like intrinsic motivators, right?
Right.
The desire for achievement, status,
Yeah.
maybe even a little friendly competition.
Right, right.
And here's a really important part.
Okay.
Kamyar Shah, he doesn't just leave us with these like high-level concepts, which is great.
Right.
He actually gives us like concrete metrics to actually measure how effective our efforts are being.
Okay, so how do we actually know if our viral strategy is working? Give us the tools to measure this.
So one of the most important metrics is that viral coefficient we talked about earlier.
Right, right, the R.
The magic R. It tells you, on average, how many new users each existing user is bringing in.
Uh-huh.
But then he also introduces this idea of viral cycle time.
Viral cycle time. Okay. So it's not just about people sharing. It's about how quickly they're sharing.
Exactly. The faster that cycle
Yeah.
spins, the faster your growth explodes. Right?
Genius.
And then there's viral growth rate, which is basically like how quickly your user base is growing thanks to all those referrals.
Got it.
And he even gives us a formula to calculate it, which is amazing.
This is pure gold. We're talking about taking the guesswork out of it and actually being able to track our progress.
Exactly. And it's not just about like those vanity metrics like likes or shares.
Right.
These are directly tied to business growth, more users,
Yeah.
more engagement, more impact.
This is all so insightful, but there's one thing that's kind of been bugging me a bit.
Okay.
Kamyar Shah talks about all these powerful tools and techniques.
Right.
But are there any like downsides? It almost feels too easy, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there must be a catch.
You're absolutely right to be thinking about that.
Okay.
Kamyar Shah is very clear that exponential growth, it isn't some kind of like magic bullet.
Okay.
In fact, he actually spends a good amount of time in the source material talking about the challenges and even potential like pitfalls.
Okay.
One of the biggest ones is sustainability.
Okay.
You know, viral growth, it often like explodes and then plateaus.
You're talking about those trends that are like, here, 1 minute, gone the next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Think about like fidget spinners, for example. They were everywhere for a hot minute and then poof, vanished. Just as quick as they came.
Yeah.
And it's the same with a lot of like viral products or campaigns.
Right.
They experience this like initial surge of excitement,
Yeah.
but then it kind of levels off.
So how do you keep that momentum going? That's the real trick, isn't it?
It is. It's a big one.
Yeah.
And there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
But one of the key takeaways from Kamyar Shah's work is that you need to constantly be innovating.
Yeah.
Constantly finding new ways to like engage your audience.
Yeah.
And you constantly have to be thinking about the long game.
So it's not just about like riding that initial wave of like the hype.
Right.
You need a plan for what happens after that surge.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where like a deep understanding of those metrics that we were talking about earlier comes in handy.
Okay.
By like actually tracking your viral coefficient,
Yeah,
like
okay.
cycle time
Yeah.
and your growth rate,
Yeah.
you can start to like anticipate when that initial burst might start to fade
Okay.
and then adjust your strategy accordingly.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Yeah.
We've covered so much, from like the actual math behind exponential growth
Right.
to the psychology of like how things go viral, the importance of actually measuring what matters.
It's amazing stuff.
It really is.
And the best part is you can apply these principles to so many different parts of your life, not just marketing.
That's what I was just thinking. Imagine like harnessing this power of networks and virality to, to actually make a difference in the world.
Oh, it's already happening. Think about like all the different movements online that have sparked real change.
Yeah.
That's the power of these networks in action. And with Kamyar Shah's insights,
Right.
we can start to really understand like the mechanics behind them
Okay.
and find ways to make them even more effective and impactful.
So it's not just about like selling more products or
Right.
getting more clicks. It's
Yeah.
about amplifying like the things that really matter, the
Absolutely.
ideas that have the potential to like make a real positive impact on the world.
I love it. I love it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of exponential growth, I hope you're feeling as energized and as inspired as I am.
Me too.
It's a whole new way of looking at the world,
Absolutely.
a new way of understanding how things spread,
Mm.
and a new way of thinking about the kind of impact that you can have.
It's exciting.
So on that note, I'll leave you to it. Go forth and grow something amazing.
Go out there and change the world.